Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Procure4Health webinar. So my name is Maria Bernabé. I work as project manager in Tech Biomed, one of the Procure4Health founding members. And today we will be diving into the insight number 4 that have been recently released within our Procure4Health community. And we will have partners from Procure4Health, so Corvers, that are the author of this insight number 4. And first of all, let me share with you some housekeeping rules for this session. So in the bottom of the screen, as you can see, you have the Q&A box where you can type your question and thoughts and concerns you may have during the entire webinar. And then we will be addressing them in the Q&A session. So you have now your microphone muted during the presentation. And in case you have any question after the session, we will give you the floor and we can open your microphone so you can ask your question. You can share during the entire webinar the question in this Q&A box, as I just mentioned. And this webinar, as you can see, is being recorded and it will be available on the Procure4Health webpage and the YouTube channel after the session. We are on Twitter and LinkedIn social media channels, so you can tag us by using our username during the session. So this is our agenda for today's webinar. So first of all, we will have Carlos Larrañeta, the Procure4Health project coordinator from Fundación Progreso y Salud. And he will be introducing the Procure4Health community and the main benefits. And then we will move to the main topic of this session, of this Insight Associated webinar. So we will have Matti van Sloten from Corvers, other of our Procure4Health founding members. So they are the author of this insight number 4 that we have launched recently, and she will be providing us with the 10 key aspects to consider when you start preparing your innovation procurement project. So after this presentation, I will give you some information regarding the upcoming activities and funding opportunities that we will be opening within Procure4Health community. And after this presentation, we will have a Q&A session. So we will devote some time for the participant to ask their questions. So this is why I ask you kindly to send and type every concern and every thought you may have in the Q&A box. So now I want to give the floor to Carlos, the Procure4Health coordinator. So Carlos, the floor is yours. You can start introducing Procure4Health community.
Okay, thank you very much, Maria. And good morning, everybody. My work today here is to provide some contextualizations for the presentation about for today's webinar. I see many friends, many partners from Procure4Health among the attendants. This presentation is intended, as I said, to provide some context to those that approach Procure4Health for the first time, and one of the first times. So for the rest of you, you probably heard me say these things a few times already. But anyhow, let me share a few slides. Okay, as Maria said, many of you already know, I'm Carlos Larrañeta. I'm Procure4Health project coordinator, and I work for Fundación Progreso y Salud, which is the institution in charge of, let's say very briefly, every research, development, and innovation activity within the Andalusian public health system. As I said, I want to start today by giving a brief context about, it's not in full mode, right? Now it is. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Okay. As I said, I wanted to provide some contextualization about who we are, why are we doing this, what are we doing, And what have we achieved so far? This is how the Procure4Health community started 8 months ago. We launched it with 19 procurers. We're going to be talking a lot about procurers. Procurers are health and care services providers. And we also have a number of the most relevant and experienced supporting organizations in the topic of procurement of innovation. As I said, this is how we started 18 months ago. This is who we are nowadays. We have more than 300 members that belong to over 160 organizations, and 70 of them are procurers, health and care services providers. So if you work in the healthcare sector and you are interested in using the procurement of innovation instrument to improve your services, well, this is the place to. Okay, what are we doing, or why are we doing this? Very briefly, these are the definitions of procurement of innovations, but how this translates into practical task. What we're doing is defining and prioritizing the needs for innovation we have in order to improve our services. We are sharing them with the innovation ecosystem around us, and we are telling the innovation ecosystem if to propose solutions, and we're telling them if we like the solutions you propose, we will procure it. But we won't only do that, we will also procure the final stages of its development. It's the main concept behind procurement of innovation. Why are we doing it? Well, because we acknowledge the potential that these procurement of innovation instruments have to have a relevant impact in our organizations, to improve them. It is an instrument that focuses really on end users, in our case, clinicians and patients. Along the way, we also dynamize and foster the innovation ecosystem around us. We all know how the benefits of all that. And we are doing this because potentially we have the resources to do it. Just one big numbers, public procurement in Europe stands for 14% of the total gross domestic power. So the potential is there. But what's the deal here? What is why are we doing this once again? It is a complex tool, not so complex conceptually, but it is complex because we want to implement it in very complex organizations, health and care systems. And it is complex in this context because it's involved along the procurement of innovation journey. There are many actors that has to engage. We need this culture of innovation to filter through all the different levels of these health and care organizations, because as I said, many stakeholders have to be involved along the procurement of innovation journey. Not all of them in all the stages, but many of them in some stages of the journey. So it's intense, incapacitated human resources. Once again, our main objective is to have as many institutions capacitated and using the procurement of innovation instruments. Why? Nowadays, there is many examples of successful procurement of innovation projects, but it still is a relative number compared to other instruments devoted to the uptake and innovation is still quite underused. So our main objective is to, let's say, shift for handcraft projects to mass production. The more we use it, the more efficient the instrument will be. And how are we doing it? Well, we as I said, this is very intense in capacitated human resources. So these are the main focus areas of our activities. We are building our capacity. We're fostering partnerships to learn from each other and also to tackle these challenges projects together. And we want to shape the future of this instrument. As I said, we look forward to making it an efficient instrument for the uptake of innovation. So, two main blocks of activities, the one related to capacity building. We have a platform available with a catalog of resources, documents, reports, experience that are shared by our partners. We have training material. This insight and this webinar is one of them. And we have the twinnings as a tool to foster cooperation and to share knowledge. We also have our forum of discussions that are our working groups. We have 4 working groups devoted to, let's say, clinical topics and to assess concrete needs of innovations and to define the requirements we have on how to fulfill them. And then we have to, let's say, transversal or instrumental working groups related to impactful innovation and to value-based procurement of innovation. These are our main outcomes so far. We have a platform available with a capacity building catalog and with all the training materials, and that's our communication forum. We have our twinnings partnerships, ongoing twinning partnerships, 7 among external members of the Procure4Health community, 18 among internal Procure4Health community members. We have already assessed in our working groups 15 common challenges of innovations. We have conducted the market analysis, and we are going to have translate 4 of those 15 challenge to the innovation ecosystem around us through the open market consultations during this spring. And as I said, regarding the future of procurement of innovation, we have already a draft of our action plans already shared with the European Commission, an action plan that obviously we are improving along the way. And I wanted to finish, this is the banner from the last call for twinning, but we are about to launch our 3rd call for twinning. This is the funding opportunity that we have for procurers that want to engage into the procurement of innovation journey. So stay tuned, because the call will be open from next week, and we will be disseminating and explaining it thoroughly throughout the next weeks. And that's it from my side, Maria.
Thank you very much, Carol, for your presentation regarding the Procure4Health community. So now let's move to the main topic of this session, is the presentation of the insight number 4, to present the key aspect to consider when preparing your innovation procurement project. So Mati, the floor is yours, so you can start introducing this your presentation.
Thank you, Maria, for your nice introduction and for giving me the floor to present the key aspects you need to consider when preparing your innovation procurement tender. Let me see if it goes to full mode.
Yeah, no, perfect.
Yeah. So, as was mentioned before, and as is already stated, it's all based upon an article that was written, one of the articles, the insight articles within Procure4Health. And so this presentation outlines what's actually as a content in the article. And the article was written by 2 of my colleagues, Ana Lucia and Beatriz, who are 2 of our legal experts for innovation procurement. And just as a brief introduction to Corvers, we are a legal consultancy firm based in the Netherlands and in Greece. And our firm is expert on strategic public procurement, innovation and contracting. And specifically our Greece branch also has economic procurement experts. in the team. So our company has many years of experience already since 2000 in public procurement and specialized in innovation procurement. We are involved in many projects, not just this Procure4Health project, but also other European funded projects. And one of the main projects we're also contractor for is the European Assistance for Innovation Procurement, in short, the EAFIP initiative. And that's already running since 2015. And within this project, we assisted over 27 projects, nonetheless, all relating to innovation procurement. So just to have a quick outline, and it's really a short one, regarding my talk for this webinar. I give you a short introduction to innovation procurement for those who are not yet so familiar with what innovation procurement entails. And also Carlos just already gave some insight there, so I can be really brief and short and run through it. And then before we start with the main content, also just a short slide on what's good to know up front. And then we embark on the journey to discover the 10 things you should consider when you're starting an innovation tender. Like the introduction to innovation procurement, just as a short explanation. Carlos, as I said, already mentioned it. It's actually when public buyers acquire development or deployment of pioneering innovative solutions to address mid to long-term public specific needs. So it's not the procurement, the normal procurement of a solution that already exists on the market, but it's something that you either still need to develop or further deploy. So it's a sort of a collaboration with the market in this procurement project. Just a brief zoom in on some advantages. This is also, I saw overlaps with what Carlos already mentioned. So I'm not going to go into the details of this. You can read what's listed here. But the main thing is, in a general perspective, it has lots of benefits for the public authorities, which has to do with advancements on your quality of services, getting a better quality products at a lower price, and reducing risks of not getting what you actually need. So you're advancing on getting the specific solution for your specific need, rather than getting something off the shelf that might not really fit what you need. And then you have some advantages on a general level for the supply side. So it facilitates, for instance, access for startups and innovative players on the market to get to the market, which helps stimulate the innovative power of, in this case, Europe, for instance. And then on a general public note, there's a better use of public resources. Since you actually, public buyers, you really get specific solutions for your specific need. And in a general sense, it helps to tackle environmental and social challenges within Europe. And it gives a boost to sustainable growth because of the job creation. So those are just a few general advantages of innovation procurement for Europe as a whole, or for on a national level. But what does innovation procurement bring for your organization specific? So why start with an innovation procurement project? And I'd like to outline some other benefits which are more specific to your organization. So it allows you to work more effective, so to do the same or even less with less resources. Be a front runner, so it can give your organization an image boost. You become sort of a pioneering organization within a certain challenge or topic. And this could create an inspiring culture within your organization, which in return also has positive effects in attracting new and motivated personnel, which nowadays with all the shortage on the market can be a huge benefit. You can make use of funding opportunities within Europe. There are lots of funding opportunities, so you can get your innovation procurement funded throughout European funds, for instance. And it allows you to create a stronger and interesting network, which could have all kinds of spin-off effects. So you can have cooperations with other contracting authorities, for instance, or with research institutions. You could create cooperations and gain a network within the value chain. And this could all benefit your organization in working more efficiently and more effectively. And last but not least, it helps you to build up specialized knowledge within your organization, knowledge on the specific topic of the procurement, but also on innovation procurement in itself. And then just a quick note on the different procurement modalities that exist, so the main procedures. This actually also aligns with the definition that Carlos shown. Only here you also have the technical terms. So one of the main procedures is pre-commercial procurement. In short, it's PCP. So that's the development of innovative solutions where you procure research and development. So you actually develop the project from an early stage on, instead of taking something that's already or nearly on the market. And then the public procurement of innovative solutions, the PPI in short, that's when the solutions are already sort of developed, but not yet available or widely available on the market. So the suppliers have already started, or maybe they have a first pilot phase finalized, but it's not yet available on the market. And there you, as a contracting authority or public buyer, you could act as a launching customer for this supplier. And then a third modality is innovation partnership, which is a bit less unknown, but it's only applicable in exceptional cases. So for this webinar and within the article, we focused on mainly PCP or PPI, because those are the main procedure to work with to actually get innovation procurement. So what's good to know up front before we start the rest of this story is to realize that an innovation procurement actually is like embarking on a journey. And like when you go on a journey, you normally would prepare, and also here within innovation procurement, preparation is everything, because as you can see later on in this presentation, in the next step where I outlined the methodology you could use, you can see that preparation steps are actually the most part of the whole procedure. Because if you set things straight in the beginning, then this allows you to have a smooth sailing, or at least avoid some problems. So yeah, you look at planning, what's your main route? And of course, within innovation procurement, your destination, your actual specific destination is not even clear in the beginning, because that's something that you decide along the way, and you designed together with the suppliers to get where you want to be. But the actual where you want to be, and that's also good to take into account, is innovation procurement in itself is never the goal. It's not the destination. It's a journey where the destination is to fulfill an unmet need that your organization has, or to solve a problem that your organization has. So that's where you want to go, and it's a journey you go alongside with the suppliers to discover and to develop the solution that specifically fulfills your specific need or solves your problem. So let's go on our own journey within this webinar and see go to the actual content of the 10 things you need to consider when preparing your innovation tender. So these are the 10 topics that were outlined in the article written by my colleagues. And we're going to go through them one by one. So starting with step number 1, or at least issue number 1, which is to work in a structured way. And this seems like, like an open door, but sometimes even open doors are good to look into and to step into and to discover. What you do is, of course, you need to set out a basic track and determine the main steps. And you can use your own methodology if you want to. You could use, for instance, the plan, do, check, act. cycle to start on this journey and to make your planning. But yeah, within EFIP, the project I mentioned before, we developed as Corvers the EFIP methodology, and I'd like to outline briefly what this methodology is all about. So within the EFIP methodology, we use a step-by-step a track of 9 steps in total, and this, as you can see, it outlines from the very early beginning, where there's only maybe a latent need, to totally at the end, where you already have implemented your solution and you look back and evaluate on lessons learned. So this is the full track of innovation procurement as we see it. And here I outlined specifically the preparation phase. So as you can see, preparation is the main part actually of this whole track. It's important to take into account that the pre-tender phase is actually maybe is a really essential phase to go through. So go to aspect number 2. The first step, as you also saw in the EFIP methodology, is actually to get a clear picture of your needs. So do a needs assessment. What's the goal of your innovation procurement? What problem do you want to solve? What need do you need to fulfill? And for this, you need to be aware that you need to have sufficient time to understand the needs, to really dive into the specifics of the need, to develop a plan. So you could do an assessment of different needs and prioritize these, and we'll get to that a bit later also. And you could do early demand mapping, and where you have, for your organization, you sort of have a procurement plan or a long-term planning in which you know, okay, this is these are the needs we're going to have to tackle for the next 5 to 10 years, for instance. And this early demand mapping also allows you to avoid that unidentified needs become urgent problems, because sometimes if you don't address them, they become real urgent problems. And actually you want to be ahead of this and start developing solutions to problems that are ahead in an early stage. And then once you have this early demand mapping, you can check which of the needs do I need to tackle first. So first you do a preliminary needs assessment, and this could give you insight into what could be improved. It's either on functionality, performance, cost efficiency, what can we do better, or what could be our desired situation. And there are several methodologies you can use for a needs assessment, and we also address this in the toolkit we developed for the EFIP project, which can be downloaded. One of the tools we use, or one of the methods that we use, for instance, is called the Whitby method. And it might sound strange, but it's actually what you do is you have a brainstorm session with your team, and you say, okay, suppose we're Harry Potter, what would you wish for if magic could solve your problem? So thinking outside of the box, anything is possible. Wouldn't it be great if we could have this? So it's just to get you thinking towards an ideal situation instead of thinking in solutions already yourself. And the needs you assess could be, for instance, cost driven, so lower maintenance costs, lower energy costs, lower costs on supplies, whatever it is. It could be efficiency driven, so more focused on the process, so to have a quicker service or better communications. And it could also be outcome driven, so this is more related to a specific goal, where, for instance, you have, as an example, better security or new ways of signaling, or automatic follow-up of signals, or a more sustainable operation of business, for instance. After the preliminary needs assessment, you go to the further needs assessment, because it might be that you have, in the first assessment, you have a number of needs, and these you first need to prioritize. So because you want to know, okay, which need are we going to move further on and to tackle, and we're actually going to start an innovation procurement on. And just to give a glance, you could, in order to prioritize, you could look, for instance, on which needs are the most urgent or which have the most impact or value. You could look at times of in terms of effort, investment, how much effort is needed, and do we have it available at this moment? And you might look, for instance, at expected risks and or chances of success. And you could prioritize by using, for instance, one of the matrices to see, okay, which of the projects are we going to start first, based upon, for instance, the matrix of effort or value and impact. So then you go on, if you picked one of the needs, you go on from the most pressing need, you formulate one main question to work from. So here you can see, for instance, one example. So you try to formulate in the brainstorm session a main question. And then from that question onwards, you try to contextualize the need into real working environment situations. And this you can do by using use cases. So within working groups, you can start defining certain practical situations relating to the problem or the need, and you work them out in use cases. So, okay, in this situation, what's the actual problem and what do we need to take into account? What are aspects to take into account? So use cases are really essential and really helpful also in further down the line in defining your specifications in the tender document. So this is really really valuable step to undertake. And then you analyze and you try to do that from a functional perspective, which means that you want to describe what you want the solution to do rather than the solution itself. And that's important to take into account, because with this way of analyzing and formulating, you give freedom to the market to fill in the solution in the way they think is the most suitable, instead of predefining what the solution should be like. It's only defining what the solution should do and where it should take you. And then one other step is involve end users. And this is actually the next step on the chart that we have. So this is also an important step to do. You can already do this when defining use cases, for instance, or this is already involvement of end users, because then you within brainstorm meetings, focus group discussions, there are several ways to incorporate them: interviews, face-to-face meetings, and as I said, use case sessions. You not only make use of all the knowledge that's within your organizations. At the same time, you also create acceptance from within the organization and the people that have to work in the end once implemented with the solution. And it's important, of course, in development of the solutions to take into account everyday practicalities and to fully understand the actual problem or need. And it's the people on the work floor and the end users that actually know best or can give you a better understanding of these aspects. And also it's wise to involve senior management, because not only, of course, they need to approve on budget, time and efforts, but also there you need to have a strategic perspective is important within your projects. Then the number 4, to understand what the market can offer. That's also an important step when doing an innovation procurement. And you can do this by conducting a state-of-the-art analysis, a SOTA in short. And the SOTA is meant to identify, okay, I have this need, but what solutions are already on the market right now? And also when there are solutions, how ready are they for me to work with already? And you assess the gap between what's already on the market and what I need as an organization. Does it fit? Is there a good fit there? And how you can do it is, for instance, to gather information that's already existing in the public domain. So information on products, on the products that are on the development. So you can look at literature, scientific studies. You can have conversations with experts in the relevant market. And you could use, for instance, also supporting platforms like iPolitics or use external experts. Actually, this is one of the main services. Also, our company in Greece, Corvers Greece, performs. They are experts in doing a SOTA analysis, and also within Procure4Health, it's one of the main topics that Corvers Greece is involved in. So what it actually does is to provide insight into the TRL level, as I said. So here you have an overview of the different levels of technology. And it's also here linked to the different modalities of innovation procurement, as you can see. So depending, and we come to that later, depending on the outcome of this, it's an important input for your choice of strategy. So apart from looking to the solutions already on the market, it's also good to interact with the market. And usually you do this within an open market consultation. Also within Procure4Health, we're having market consultations upcoming. And within these consultations, you can cross-check your previous market analysis, so the SOTA that you performed, to see, okay, was my SOTA, is it correct? Is it valid? Is it indeed what I thought? Could the market provide what we need? It's good to check with the market if your market analysis is indeed gives a realistic and a correct image. And also it provides feedback on how to raise interest from the market, because if you want to do a call for tender for the innovation procurement, you need to know what players are on the market, who will be interested, who might you want to invite for proposals, so to get an idea of the whole market area. And in the same time, it creates awareness within the suppliers market regarding your need, which is an important signals for the supply market that there's a need there, and that's something they could work on to developing their solutions. And it allows you to cross-check the feasibility and market acceptance of the way that you intend to set up your contract. So you can check key contractual conditions, budget, time frame, to check with the market, is this realistic, yes or not? So it's an important input also for your tender documents. Key aspects to remember from your open market consultation is to communicate your needs really openly and clearly. You need to make clear that you want your outcome to be innovative, so not something that's off the shelf. At least you strive to have something that really fits your needs like a glove. You should give sufficient time to ask questions. In order to have a good open market consultation, you need to identify the right market segment. So to know, you might think your solution might be specifically and only in IT, for instance, but it might be that there's a solution there's an aspect of your solution that's not IT related, and it's totally different. It's more on the social solutions, for instance, just as an example. So not to have a wide outreach of market segments that could be involved in your solution. And then, of course, it's always important to guarantee security of confidential information, because it could potentially be confidential information that suppliers provide within the open market consultation, and you need to take care that you guarantee the security of this. And generally, you announce at least the open market consultation on the tender electronic daily. But apart from this, it's always good to also communicate through other website platforms, mailings, newsletters, media, and you use a prior information notice for this. This is a specific document. But of course, for other platforms, websites, media, it's good to have a news item published or a press release throughout several media to approach these market segments that you have identified, and to make known within the market that this is an upcoming tender. So the next step is to have a clear picture of the costs and the benefits and the value of your organization. And this is also typically something that our Greek or our economic procurement experts within Corvers do, and they support public buyers in this case. So what a business case does is it gives you indications on the budget and the duration of the project. So how what's realistic to keep it within acceptable proportions. It gives you an indication on how many vendors should be at minimum engaged to avoid risk, or at least reduce risk, that at the end of your project, none of the solutions involved have a working solution. And then it helps you to set minimum functionality and performance requirements. So it's also good to take into account also on the monitoring side. And it gives insights into benefits and drawbacks. So for instance, if you want to split your procurement into lots, which has input in how you set up your procurement strategy. And the business case you develop by using financial indicators. It's the net present value, the internal rate of return, and the return on investment. But this is too technical to get into in this webinar, but for those interested, you can look into the toolkit module 2 and download this, and there you'll find a more detailed explanation of how you can conduct your business case. And it's also good within a business sense to think ahead about commercial expectations of the developed solution, so that after the solution has been developed, you can think of how it can be deployed further into the market. And it's an important tool to support investment and project management decision, not only before, but also during and after the projects. So the procurement strategy, I already mentioned it. So how do you want to procure? It's a choice of procedure, which reflects to, just as a brainstorm, for instance, do you use the PCP, so the pre-commercial procurement, or if it's already on the market, can you use a negotiate procedure, or just a normal procurement, or do you use a PPI if it's nearly on the market, or and you act as a launching customer? So there are several strategies depending what you want to use. And it also gives you indication all the preparations in provisions to include in the tender document. So you think of how you're going to set up your tender documents and how you're going to set up the procurement. For instance, do you use lots? And then all of the procurement strategy is actually based on the results of the SOTA analysis and the market consultation, and your assessment of the maturity of the solutions of the market, on your business case, as stated before. And as a general note, ideally your procurement strategy should reduce the total cost of ownership, and while still ensuring quality and timely supplies and mitigating risks. So this is all to take into account when developing and choosing your strategy. And just to give you a quick idea, actually we're now at step 5 of the IFET methodology. So these are the steps they align within the content of the article. Let's go to the next slide, which is, of course, it's important also in the preparation phase to also already think about contract monitoring. So to set up mechanisms already in the preparation stage, how to monitor not only your innovation procurement project, but also the contract execution once it's implemented. So for instance, you could set up a management structure to have, for instance, a technical management committee for the R&D and the testing phase. You could involve an external user group to monitor also from a broader perspective. You can make a planning with review and phase evaluation meetings, and you can determine and set key performance indicators and milestones. And the key performance indicators can be either quantitative or you can look at impact, for instance. It's advisable to appoint main supervisor for each contractor, because normally within the innovation procurement, you have several contractors within the phases. And then also plan face-to-face meetings with the contractors on a regular basis after each phase to increase collaboration. And also during the execution of the contract. So not just during the R&D development phase, but also during the contract execution. Then the project team. So it's important to have a multidisciplinary and strongly committed to project team. It's essential for the whole project. So this is just an outline of possible, it's an example of possible modalities and parties, departments that could be involved in your project. And it all depends, of course, on the specific topic of your challenge. But it's wise to have from different angles of your organization, have people involved. Maybe not throughout the whole project, but for instance, communications is really important for the publication of the open market consultation, for instance. So it could be that several parties have a stronger role within the different phases of your projects. And then last but not least is to take into account, which probably is already clear, that it simply takes time and effort, and it all depends on how it's rough. It's not possible to give a general outline of how many months or how many years this a project will last. It all depends on complexity, on how much knowledge there already is, because a lot of knowledge can speed up the process. And if you have resources available in terms of persons, because a lot of effort is needed, and also in terms of budget, for instance, and is there already experience in innovation procurement? Do you have models and templates available to use? And also the internal commitment, because sometimes decision-making process can really slow down the whole project. So yeah, it's like the man looking through his glasses far ahead. Sometimes it's looking far ahead over a number of years. And just to give an example of a concrete PCP planning, I copied in this one. It's just an example of one of the projects that we did, but just to give you an idea, for instance, in one of the projects we did regarding security and transport, you have phase 1 solution design, which is 5 months, prototype development, which could take over 9 months, and then operational validation in 6 months. So this is just the R&D phase, for instance, just to give you an idea of the total project duration. So it takes time and effort, and it sometimes also takes some courage to start and to go through an innovation procurement. And on a closing note, to conclude, therefore, yeah, it offers a lot of opportunities, innovation procurement, so don't miss out on it, on the opportunities and benefits that it brings. And make sure you prepare well and start your journey. And of course, most importantly, also enjoy the ride, because for some, it might be, it's like a journey where you take in all you see and you learn, and it might be really relaxing and enjoyable. For others, it might be like a true roller coaster. And for some, it's like the person on the left, and for others, it's like the person on the right. So the one really totally scared and out of his comfort zone, and the other one fully enjoying and inspired and motivated. So it can be all. But in any case, we hope, of course, at the end of this journey, you reach the destination by fulfilling the need that you have, or solve the problem, and you can work in a more efficient way or develop better quality services. And there you can enjoy the fruit of your work and enjoy the destination. So that's all for my talk of the day. Any questions, or probably that's relating later to the Q&A session. So that's my part. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any question, of course, you're welcome to reach me, and I can liaison with the rest of my legal team. And also, I put in the link to our to the EFIP webinar, the EFIP link, because there you can download the toolkit for further guidance on the whole innovation procurement steps. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mati, for your valuable presentation for this Insight Number 4. So now let me share my screen so I'll be very, very quickly. So just to mention the upcoming activities we have in Procure4Health. So can you see my screen? So as Carlos mentioned, we have the trainings opportunities. So we will be launching a third call for trainings very soon. And we have already the date for the informative webinar. So it will be organized on the 21st of February. So you have the registration link open to sign up for this session. So I will send to you through the chat, and in the follow-up email you will receive by from Zoom after the session. So just to keep it in mind that if you are a public or private healthcare procurer, you can apply for this new funding opportunity. We will have also, as Mati just mentioned, we will have the open market consultation for the 4 challenges that have been identified within the Procure4Health community by our Procure's funding members. And as you can see in the slide, these are the main topics that we will be asking the market for. So we will have these different challenges, and we will ask the market for their feedback on the solution that we will be developing for these 4 challenges. And the common pin was published in January in the Tenders Electronic Daily, so you can also access to this common pin for the entire open market consultation in Procure4Health. So I will send to you this link as well. For those that have not joined our community yet, so I invite you to join and register to our community so you can have access to everything we have just mentioned. So here you can see in the navigation bar of the platform that you can access to the trainings as Procure, the working groups, news, the insights, and all the activities and benefit that you can get if you join us and in the Procure4Health community. So stay tuned, and if you don't want to miss anything, you can also subscribe to our Procure4Health mailing list to be posted on all the activities we will be performing in the coming months. So now we have to devote the last 6 minutes to the Q&A session. We received some question. Yeah, so we received one question. I see that Carlos already answered to Rebecca, so thank you very much, Carlos. If you want to say something, you can open your microphone. And
I don't know if I could assess the question properly by writing it. Maybe Rebecca, let me get back to it. If I understand properly, you are really your concern is about these 4 phases of procurement of innovation journey. If I understand your question correctly, is this full journey completely mandatory? Do we have, or are we going through all those phases? My answer was in the field, and I'm sure probably our friends for Corvers can also jump in on this. My answer was in the line of, this is how we have conceptualized the procurement of innovation journey. The procurement of innovation is quite flexible tools in some ways, but we also have the constraints of public procurement. For instance, so there are some steps that are mandatory that we conduct in a transparent, open, and accessible for everyone's way, like the sharing of the needs and the open market consultations. That is, for instance, mandatory. But for instance, the assessment of the needs, what we are sharing here are recommendations, are best practices, but then how you do that within your organizations can be adapted to the particularities of your organizations. That's an overall overview. If I recall properly, Rebecca, you have also asked about the existence of funding for the last stage, the actual deployment. escalation and deployment of the solutions. Well, that's a tricky question. It's supposed most of fundings go to the development of the, let's say, validation of the piloting. Escalation and deployment is supposed to be on the backs of the organizations that want to deploy the solutions, because if we have done this, it's because we have an interest of this. Anyhow, there is still some funding tools like the PPI, Procurement of Innovations, as an opposition to pre-commercial procurement. Procurement of Innovation is mostly devoted to the final stage of the adoptions. But if we go into detail, those funding opportunities, since we are all aware of how research, development, and innovation funding schemes work. The lower on the tier escalation, the lower on the development of knowledge you are, the more funding you get. So when you go to PPI, you only might get some percentage of funding for those final stages of activities. That's at European level, and each country has its own. I hope I did address the question, but it's a topic that has room for a lot more discussion.
Yes, thank you, Carlos. So I hope it's much clear now for Rebecca.
Maybe
Yeah,
just
Madi,
one note to add there regarding funding, apart from European funding opportunities, specifically also when you have evidence that there is a market for the solution that you're developing. So for instance, within Procure4Health, we have a large, it's a joint procurement, so you have a large community of public buyers interested for the solution. Then you also might look into the opportunity of venture capital investments. So that's from a commercial party. So that's maybe something to look into, because it's, clearly if you can show that there's interest from the market, then that could be an option to look into. So it's something that we as Corvers are developing knowledge on. We're recently within another project written an article about this, and we're having working groups and also in discussions with the European Commission because they can also give a boost to this final step of getting the solution broader to the European market. So there are lots of developments there, and it's an interesting aspect to maybe look into when it comes to funding your last bit of your solution development.
Great. Okay, so thank you very much, Mati, for your clarification. Now I don't see any more question in the Q&A box, so if nobody has any more question, we can close the session here. And if you have any further question after the session, so don't hesitate to contact us. So we will be happy to answer your question regarding the Procure4 community and in terms of the Procure4Health insight topic. So you have our main contact details. I will send the email after the session with the webinar recording, so you can watch a replay if you want. And let's receive another. Okay, thank you. We are receiving thanks for the participants of the Q&A box. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today in our Procure4Health Insight Associated webinar. So thank you very much, Carlos, for your participation, and the entire Corvers team. Thank you very much, Mati, Anna, and Beatriz, for being here today and for this insightful presentation of the insight number 4. So let's close the session and see you soon in the upcoming ones.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice day,
Thank you
everyone.
very much. Have a nice day. Bye.